A new Washington Post ABC News poll finds that only 41% of Americans approve of the president's performance, and that's down 11% from the spring.
Joining us now to discuss, advisor to former Presidents Clinton and President Trump, Newsmax analyst Dick Morris. Dick, we've seen this happen pretty steadily.
New low for Joe.
Yeah, new low for Joe. And by the way, that doesn't speak well of Kamala Harris either, because she's even lower than that. What's going on with all
It's like a limbo bar with the two of them.
How long
I
can you
get
go?
down lower than you can. Well, what to me is more important about that poll than the approval rating is the generic ballot, where they say, in your district, would you vote for the Democrat or the Republican for Congress? And normally, if it's a tie, it means the Republicans are going to gain a few seats, 8 or 10. But the biggest margin was 6 points in 2010, and the Republicans picked up 63 seats. This poll is 10 points, 51 to 41. So what does that mean in terms of seats? We've never been there, never had anything of that magnitude. But to me, it presages a complete and total wipeout of the Democrats in Congress.
Yeah, and it's not just among Republicans who are not viewing President Biden as favorably. When you take a look at just the Democrats, only 80% approve of the job that he's doing now, and that's versus 94% before.
Yeah, well, I think that the other interesting aspect of this poll is that his approval rating among blacks is 20 points lower than it was when he took office.
Wow.
Among Hispanics, equivalently so. So that his real losses have come in his base that I think is very significant. But it raises an interesting question. You have 220 Democratic House members. About 100 of them are black or Latino. Most of them are going to get reelected. Blacks from black districts, they're not going to flip. Some of the Latinos will lose, but most will win. But there are 120 white Democrats who are an endangered species now. And you could get half or more of those losing, at which point the Democratic Party, number one, is at that point an all-black party. And number two, the bench of Democratic prospects thins out so dramatically. You're killing a whole generation of Democratic politicians.
Let's talk about the bench. President Biden has said that he will run for re-election. I don't know anybody that actually believes that. But the presumption was that Kamala Harris was the heir apparent.
With him, it's better to do a 5-year survival rate.
Right. We'll give the over-under on that. But with Kamala Harris, she is not wearing well with the public or within the White House, from what we can gather. They give Mitch Landrieu this power down, the former New Orleans mayor, to distribute this infrastructure money, make sure it's going. And that's another conversation by itself. But talk about that bench. The Democrats, they have a problem.
The only thing Mitch Landrieu has ever been good at is graft. When you're mayor of New Orleans, it comes with the job.
That territory.
But he's very good at that. And to trust him with this kind of money is incredible. And the worst part of this is Buttigieg, who I call Booty Boy, is going to be the new president, really, right now. Because
that's why I thought they were going to give it to him.
He has it in effect. He gets almost $200 billion he can dispense at will. The bill doesn't say, do this much for this and this for that and that for that. It says, take all this money and somehow recharge solar batteries. Or take this money and somehow stop heat from being emitted in agriculture. And you figure out how, and you figure out how much it's going to cost, and you figure out who to give the contracts to, and you don't have to bid competitively. Now, if there was ever an instance in the case of Landrieu, I think of graft, because I don't think he's honest. In the case of Buttigieg, I do think he's honest. I just think he's horribly inexperienced. I mean, he's never run a budget even close to this. He was mayor of South Bend, Indiana, for God's sake.
Which is smaller.
157th on the list of cities.
That's smaller than congressional districts.
How the heck is he going to administer $500 billion and do it effectively?
Yeah. What do you make?
And those are the only two guys they could have?
Right,
exactly.
The least honest and the least experienced. It's quite a combination.
What do you make of what's being said or what's happening with the vice president right now, speaking of the bench? Because we have that weird tweet, I don't know if you saw it, that came out from Jen Psaki last night. They're being asked about it again today. What do you think is going on behind the scenes?
I think that the Biden staffers, not Biden himself, but the staffers, see her as competition because she's the only viable replacement for Biden under the 25th Amendment. Mm-hmm. And they see this guy slipping into, God knows what he's slipping into, but they see him being less and less able to do the job each day.
Right.
There is a 25th Amendment that provides for him to be thrown out and someone else to come in. And while they're both Democrats and they're both pretty to the left, they're not the same person. They don't have the same cronies and the same associates.
Yeah.
And they're worried about losing their jobs. So they want to make Harris radioactive, just like Nixon's staff made Agnew radioactive.
Yeah.
So nobody
he
would
was
throw him
radioactive.
out. But they made him that, so nobody would throw him out.
The optics will be very interesting as we continue to monitor this event where the president is expected to sign the transportation bill. We're told the vice president is going to be there. Landrieu is going to be there. We'll see if Buttigieg is going to be there. But it will be very interesting, just the optics of it.
Because normally the vice president is part of the infrastructure.
Right. Yeah.
That's what she is when she's in front of a camera.
It'll be very interesting. All right,
All right.
Dick, thank you very much for
Thanks,
joining
Dan.
us. Appreciate it.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.